I've removed the sweep object from the scene, so we're left with just the tracer and our FBX as before, and you can see that these splines are still staying on the spot as it were because we've left the animation on the tracer object. So an alternative to using a sketch and tune or the sweep is we could use a loft object as well, and as you're probably aware, if we input several splines into a loft, that will give us geometry. So if we take our tracer object and let's just duplicate this a few times, and I've made 6 duplicates in all, and I'm going to call these hips, head, left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot. And then let's select each tracer in turn, switch to the object tab, and let's delete all of the objects from the tracer link except the object that we've used in the name. So for example, on the hips we'll leave hips, on the head, you guessed it, we'll leave the head. I'm just going to go through each one of these and remove all the objects. So in other words, each tracer object is only tracing one object. What we can then do is we can take each of these tracers and we can drop them into an extrude NURBS, a loft NURBS, sorry. I'll just delete the final objects from right foot, like so. So if we press play, you can see we still have splines being generated. It's a lot simpler, but hopefully if we add in LoftNURBS, select our spline, our tracers, drop them into the LoftNURBS, now when we press play, you can see that we get a totally different result. And this time we've created some quite interesting geometry. It is looking a little bit rough and not enough subdivisions, but we can change that by first of all selecting our loft, and with our loft we can increase the number of subdivisions along U, and you can see by doing that smooths out the result. And we can also do that along V if we need to increase the number of subdivisions along that axis. And if we render now, you can see that we get a much smoother result. And of course the order of these will affect the geometry that's being created. For instance, we could swap the feet around like so, and it gives us a slightly different look. But if we actually take these and move them all to different places, then we're going to generate a different look for each of our loft NURBS. They're all based on the same run pattern, so they're all going to have a certain similarity to them, but they can all have a unique look as well. As you can see, using multiple instances of the tracer object with loft does give us quite a different result from the sweep NURBS, and also reordering and changing the elements that are being traced will give us more variation on top of that. So I think that's enough uses of the tracer in trace paths mode. So I'm going to jump back to the tracer setup that we had before, and we're going to look at using the connect option within the tracer object. So save your file and go back to a previous version, and what I'm looking for is the version where the tracer had all the elements. So basically the scene that we were at before we started duplicating our tracer object.